Natural flavors is the fourth most common ingredient in the American food supply, passed only by water, sugar, and salt. It's in our morning yogurt, sparkling drinks, spices, healthy snacks, and even our meat. But what is it? While the food industry calls it natural flavors, it'd be more accurate to call this their biggest lie. Their sales are counting on you not knowing what it truly is. And in this video, we're exposing the truth they don't want you to hear. When I first heard of natural flavors, I thought of a fruit or vegetable or some other natural product. But the FDA and other large food corporations think otherwise. Here I provided the definition of natural flavors according to the Electronic Code of Federal Regulations. Likewise, I've listed all my sources in the description for anyone interested in figuring out where I got my information for this video. But getting back to the definition, notice the various methods that can be used to extract and produce the essence of a desired item. Essentially, to create natural flavors, companies start from natural sources allowed by the FDA. Then food scientists identify key compounds and aromas, and then they isolate to these given compounds. Typically, they use extraction, commonly with a solvent such as ethanol or supercritical CO2, distillation, which is essentially just separating components of a liquid based on different boiling points, roasting or heating, and enzymolysis, which is where enzymes act as a catalyst to break down a substance. Overall, these methods are used to create the desired addictive flavor that then hides under the label known as natural flavorings. That seems like industrial processing. Commonly, the only natural part of natural flavors is the original starting ingredient. Moreover, natural flavors can be identical to their artificial counterparts. For example, take vanillin, the primary molecule responsible for the flavor of vanilla. Vanillin can be made in two different ways. First, vanillin can be extracted naturally, directly from the vanilla bean. Conversely, vanilla can be extracted artificially by being synthesized in a lab, often starting with a petrochemical base. Regardless of the source, the vanilla molecule itself is chemically identical in both cases, even though one molecule came from a plant and the other from an oil-based substance in a lab. This is a prime example of how a company can start with something legitimately natural, put it through processing, and then call the resulting concentrated flavor natural. It's all a marketing gimmick designed to make us feel safe while buying a food whose true ingredients are masked by a vague label. If natural flavors weren't bad enough, they come accompanied by incidental additives, which reveal an even more disturbing reality. While the active flavor compounds must come from a natural source, the substance used to extract, dissolve, preserve, and carry those compounds are classified as incidental additives. Thus, when you see natural flavors on the ingredient list, it's rarely just the pure flavor. Rather, it's often a mixture that can contain more than 100 different chemicals. These incidental additives are not required to be itemized on the final food products ingredient list. Take a look at the FDA's definition for incidental additives. Notice how vague it is? This gives companies the leeway needed to include secret ingredients under the natural flavors label. Common incidental additives include solvents and carriers, such as propylene glycol, which is synthetic and petroleum-based. It can also include preservatives, such as BHA, BHT, and benzoic acid, all of which are synthetically made from petrochemicals. To make matters worse, the U.S. National Toxicity Program has listed BHA as reasonably anticipated to be a human carcinogen, based on the evidence from high-dose animal studies where it caused benign and malignant tumors in the forestomach of rats, mice, and hamsters. Furthermore, benzoic acid can mix with vitamin C in certain conditions, creating benzene, a known carcinogen. Common incidental additives may also include emulsifiers and stabilizers, such as polysorbate 80, which has had controversial effects on the gut microbiota, or monoantiglycerides, which possibly can contain some trans fat but get around the FDA's ban because they're not classified as partially hydrogenated oils. Furthermore, common incidental additives may include added flavors, such as MSG, as these can be produced as a byproduct of the various processes and then hidden under the label natural flavors. As shown, many of these incidental additives are synthetic chemicals, meaning a product containing natural flavors can also legally contain synthetic petroleum-based chemicals. This is one of the most disturbing realities behind natural flavors. Industry is able to sneak anticipated human carcinogens, including synthetic chemicals, trans fats, and preservatives, into our food supply, all classified as a seemingly healthy, natural flavor. So if natural flavors are processed and bad for us, why do companies use them? Ultimately, it's because their sales depend on it. Most of their processed foods often use refining starches and hydrogenated fats that have had the original taste and texture of the raw ingredients stripped away. To make these empty calories desirable, industry adds back flavors, aromas, and texture via natural flavors. Furthermore, they opt to use natural flavors to create a highly palatable, cheap, consistent, and craveable flavor that leaves their customers desiring more. At this point, it became obvious to me that natural flavors were something I should avoid. But then I began wondering, how is this even legal? Who regulates our food? And to these questions, I found some interesting answers. While the FDA holds the ultimate authority, in practice, a significant portion of the safety evaluations for natural flavors is conducted by the Flavor and Extract Manufacturers Association, as well as individual businesses themselves. It all dates back to the GRAS provision created by Congress in 1958. This was an exception to the formal FDA food additive approval process, intended to exempt common ingredients like vinegar and salt from rigorous review. However, the GRAS system for flavors operates in a way that is not widely understood from the public. There are three practical pathways a company can get a product GRAS. First, and the most obvious, is the voluntary FDA GRAS notification. A company does research, concludes an ingredient is GRAS, and voluntarily submits evidence to the FDA. The FDA reviews it and issues a no questions letter if they agree. The second method includes relying on the FEMA GRAS list. The Flavor and Extract Manufacturers Association has its own independent expert panel and a published list of substances it is determined to be GRAS. A company using a flavor from this list is then relying on the expert judgment of the FEMA panel. The third and the sketchiest pathway is the independent GRAS self-affirmation pathway, also called the GRAS loophole. A company can convene its own panel of experts. If their own panel of experts concludes the ingredient is GRAS, the company can legally put it in food. They are not required to notify the FDA or consult FEMA. A crucial point is that by using the GRAS loophole, a company can determine that one of its own ingredients is GRAS without notifying anyone. Therefore, the only entity attesting to the safety of a new flavor chemical may be the company that stands to profit from its sales. So not only are some of the known incidental additives found in natural flavors known to be unhealthy, but the loose criteria for a product to be determined GRAS brings into question whether natural flavors in and of themselves are safe. To further solidify this concern, the Government Accountability Office published an article in 2010 stating the FDA should strengthen its oversight of food ingredients determined to be GRAS. They highlighted their concern regarding the GRAS loophole and illustrated the fact that some previously considered GRAS substances have now been banned. Unfortunately, many of their recommendations from over 15 years ago still have yet to be implemented. Moreover, to illustrate the fact that we really don't know what we're getting when we consume something containing natural flavors, we can turn to the strange yet relatively well-known case of castoreum. Castoreum is a yellowish secretion from the castor sacs of beavers. This is a food additive used to enhance vanilla, raspberry, and strawberry flavor profiles. While it's typically not used today, this example highlights how the food industry can often use and attempt to conceal the fact that they are using strange and potentially dangerous ingredients. In summary, natural flavors is a regulatory term defined by its source, not the end product. Natural flavors can also contain synthetic solvents, preservatives, unsuspected ingredients, and other presumably carcinogenic incidental additives, all without disclosing them on the label. Furthermore, the GRAS loophole that regulates natural flavors relies heavily on industry self-regulation. And lastly, the natural term provides a false impression of healthiness and is one of the biggest marketing scams. But now you know their secret, and the power is in your hands. You can fight back against a multi-trillion-dollar processed food industry. See natural flavors as a red flag, indicating that this company isn't truly devoted to natural products. Buy whole, unprocessed foods and let your money show companies what you think. Did you learn something valuable in today's video? If so, share this video and enlighten someone you care about. Let us know in the comments what's the most surprising product you've found to contain natural flavors. Lastly, subscribe and give this video a like if you want to support us as we uncover the truth behind the modern food industry and bring trust back to our food supply.